All right. Welcome, everybody. We'll begin started in a moment. In the meantime, enjoy this song. This is part of our free collection of music that we are making available for everybody. You just got to click on the link that's in the community page. Go to the community page at the date, which is March the 30th. You want to look for the post from March the 30th. There's a link there. Click on that link. That's going to take you into an email for Sabatry. And in that email is a link. All right. So I'll just go ahead and roll this while we're waiting for people to get on.
But so does our spirit. In the rhythm of the city, can you hear it? Every corner whispers sweet promises. As we chase the slides before lights on this high summer day, we're alive with these, embracing the moment like a warm summer breeze. Sunshine's breaking, skies are clear. Feel the warmth, summer's near. With every step, the world feels new. It's gonna be a great day, just us two. Let the good vibes flow. Today we let love grow. Born with finding wood. This we have love's true.
High, casting light on my to be rise, but you breathe, feeling a deep that fire. Hands to the warmth, pain and hue so bright. In this test, you summon everything that's right. Laughter's the sweet liquid within refreshing. Memories wait to be made, yeah, there's something blessing. With you by my side, the sky's not just blue, it's an invitation to be bold.
All right, we'll be starting in about less than 30 seconds, okay? Less than 30 seconds, we'll be starting.
As the sun dips low, painting the sky. With every breath you're from his sun, dreaming intertwined. It's hot summer. We accomplish with you dancing.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for tuning in to another live broadcast. I'm so glad that you guys are here. I hope you guys are enjoying this weekend. You know, it's almost over, but we don't want to think like that. Okay, we gotta let this thing drag a little bit. Okay, we're gonna let this thing drag, and we're gonna enjoy it. Okay. Well, that song is called "A Day for Us." That's a song that we put together through AI. Okay, you better join that class. All right, that we're going to be having on this coming, not Monday, sorry, April the 13th. Okay, we're not going to cover music on that one, but that's going to be tier 1, where we're going to be covering over Chat GPT. So if you are someone that's of a certain age and you've been hearing about Chat GPT and AI and all this other stuff, and it's just a little, it's a bit much or whatever, you're just curious or whatever, well, this will be a great opportunity for you to learn more about it. And if you go to Sabatry.com, go to our page, go to Samba University, go to that link, click on it, because tomorrow is your last day to take advantage of the early bird special, which is $24.99. And if you wait after that, it's still available. You can sign up, but you'll be paying, at that point, you'll be paying $30. Okay. So I'm trying to get y'all in. So you can save a little bit of money there, as we start. So again, make sure you go to Sabatry.com, click on the Samba University link. It's at the top of the page, and then it'll get you in. Okay. All right. So big shout out, of course, to everybody that's in. And we got quite a few things we're going to cover. And again, my goal is to get this thing tight and right and get it in. Okay. We're going to cover quite a few news items in here today. So, but again, I hope you guys had a great weekend. I know I did yesterday. I actually want to share with you. Let me send these two videos to my computer here, and I'm going to share with you just what I was doing yesterday. Let me get that up here. It was actually Nicole and I, and it's coming up. Come on. There we go. All right. Here's the first video here. Let me share that with you here. We went picking. No, we ain't pick for cotton. No, those days are long over. Okay. But we went picking, and, I got in touch with somebody who has a huge citrus orchard. I mean, it is pretty huge, and they were like, "Man, come on down," and that we did, and we came with buckets and all kind of stuff, and we thought we were done with the citrus thing, but apparently we're not. And so let me share this short video Nicole and I took when we were there yesterday. Let me go ahead and drop that in here. Hold on for a sec. Get that. Here we go. So we just finished picking a whole lot of citrus, and it looks so good and tastes good. We just tasted it and all of that. So
wow. We thought that the last harvest was over, but this was a surprise harvest. I'll put it like that, a surprise harvest. So we'll show you what we just picked. Mostly tangelos, and they are big, seeded, sweet, juicy, ready to juice, ready to eat. Whew. Yeah, I was super happy, happy. Yeah. So. And if you could see what was behind us, it's just trees and trees and trees and trees and trees. Just fruit, grapefruit, tangelos, a bunch of stuff. But yeah, we'll show you what we picked.
Yeah, we're picking it all.
And we heard from a lot of y'all that said, "Oh my gosh, this fruit was so good. It was so juicy. It was so." We said, okay, let's try to find a little bit more. And we did.
All right. So that was one. And this other video will show you in the car, because we packed it down here. Where is that video here? Hold on. Is this it? Okay, this is it right here. Let me go ahead.
Dwayne's gonna keep these for himself, but look at the size. My hand can't even fit around this grapefruit. It is huge. It's bigger than a pomelo. This thing is huge. These grapefruits, huge, amazing. This was a really good harvest, really good.
Oh, I had another one here, and we're on the other side. I'll send that one too. Hold on, let me send that one to you. You can see that one. Come on. Hold on. Let me. Come on. Sorry, y'all. Oh, did I get it? Okay. All right. Here it is. Here's the other one. I think this is it.
Yeah. My.
Yeah. So we were picking yesterday, and I got another clip, but it's on a different camera. Unfortunately, wasn't thinking fast enough, I guess, to take it off of that camera. But when I tell you, like, I was going all up in the tree, it's huge. I think they're called pomelos. They're bigger than grapefruit. And their rinds are a lot thicker. Now, we're not going to sell those, because I didn't know. I was just grabbing. And I mean, you go all up in the tree. These things are huge. They're huge. And we were picking yesterday, and then, of course, we got the idea again. We were like, hey, listen, we need to, I guess we're going to do another sale, and, a quick sale. And so that we are doing. So if you go to sambatree.com, you will see that, yep, we got it going on right now. So it's $9.99. I'll bring up, let me get the email up as well. Let me see where that email is. And she sent me the email. Let's see. Let's get that email up. Oh, there you go. That's the email. let's see. Sorry, y'all. I should have all this kind of together here. All right, here we go. All right, so let me get rid of that. And let's pull this up here. And there's the email there. So, okay, here we go. So here's the email. We'll just go through it real quick here. So, surprise seeded Tangelo harvest. We thought we were done, but we grabbed another sweet one just for you. And I'm going to tell you, I tried it yesterday and today. Oh, my goodness. The lady was right. She said it tastes like candy. That sounds like a song. Too bad I can't sing it. Anyway, because they'll copyright me on it. But anyway, this is this is a comment we got from somebody from the last time. They said, first, let me say, I've been sleeping on your citrus box. Those oranges, I mean, it was good, but the oranges were delicious. And here's someone else that said, this is from the lady that owns the orchard. It was a family. And she said, let me remind you of next year. She said, my fruit trees do best every other year. Next year should be a good one. We didn't get any blood oranges, and the grapefruit trees weren't as full this year. Unfortunately, folks are impatient and think they should pick the fruit in December and January. Even February is too soon. Come March and April, the citrus is like candy. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I was juicing some today. Oh my, and mix it with that grapefruit. I'm not playing. You think I'm hyping it up? I'm not. But it's good. So it's $9.99, and you get Tangelos in there. Each box weighs 5 to 6 pounds, loaded with 10 to 12 pieces of pure citrus bliss. And the harvest, we're at the end. So that's your opportunity to check it out. So we got that going on. So if you're interested, make sure you get it, because based on the last times we did these releases, they went fast. Okay, so you want to make sure you jump on them, all right? Because otherwise, I'm going to eat them. But anyway, moving on. In this email as well, that's why I'm telling you, go to the link. The link is in the community page. On the community page, we have a link that will take you to a free album that we're making available for everybody. The title of it is It's Going to Be a Great Day. And that's what I want to keep telling. I want y'all to keep telling yourselves over and over again. It's going to be a great day. And we got some music to kind of go along with that. 4 songs on there. I think you'll like them if you're into the 70s, kind of like Sunday afternoon in the park barbecue, kind of chill, mellow music. This is going to be for you. All right. So it's free. So you ain't got nothing to lose on that. So check that out when you get a chance. Okay. Everything that I just shared with you is over at sambatree.com. All right. So got that all covered here. Let's get into the news. Thank you so much again for tuning in. For those that are just jumping in, thank you so much. If you say, oh, what did you just say? Rewind and go back. Okay, we got to keep it moving here. All right. So as you guys know, we do have a we're on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. And today I posted a video over on Instagram, and it's, really something here. Let me see. I think I'll just play it on Instagram. So, get y'all to realize, hey, we do have an Instagram page. So here it is right here. So let me pull that up here. Here's our Instagram page right here. And what we try to do on Instagram, what we started doing last week, is once a week on Instagram, we're going to do a half an hour health news update. So, this one you see with my big mouth open there, that was the health news update that we try to do on there. I try to push it to as far as I can go without being getting a strike. So we cover quite a bit on there, and so I try to keep it between 20. I want to keep it between 20 minutes to a half an hour, and so we post it on there. Okay, so that's just another place that you can find us. But here we go. Here's the video that I wanted you to see. And check this out.
This child was given a toxic slew of the most dangerous vaccinations at age 1 when she already had a cold and she had constipation. Did at any point the medical professionals in that clinic that gave those vaccinations to your beautiful daughter, did they ever tell you that about any of these side effects, or there could be anything that could happen from taking these shots?
No, all she said was that my baby might get a little fever. And we went to go leave, and not even 3 minutes after we driving, someone was like, turn around and look at Sanaya. And I turned around and looked at my baby, and her eyes was rolling in the back of her head, and she was just like going like this and foaming out the mouth. We got to the hospital. This was St. Vincent. What is it?
St. Vincent.
St. Vincent's Hospital in Pennsylvania. When we got there, they rushed her to trauma. In the time and the frame of me bringing her in there, my baby ended up having about 4 more seizures after that. So they ended up putting her to sleep, and the nurse came running to me and was like, I'm sorry, but your daughter, she's very sick. She's very sick. She was like, right now she's being, she's in cardiac arrest. Like they trying to resuscitate, like they bring her back. And we went down there, and my baby was like, she wasn't responding, like her heart wasn't responding.
They was giving her CPR for like 40 minutes. They was trying to bring her back alive for 40 minutes. Then next time they said, they was like,
we're going to check her pulse, check for a pulse one more time. And if we don't have a pulse anywhere, she's gone. And they checked, and she didn't have that pulse. And they said my baby was gone.
You don't expect to go to a hospital, to a doctor, and for them to not tell you everything. Like, you're expecting for them to let you know, like, if something could have possibly, even if it's a possibility that something can happen, and inform the parents to give them that choice, to make that decision on whether they still want to try to go forward with whatever it is, or if they don't.
Don't let your kids take the vaccination shots.
Ask questions.
Ask questions before anything they give you, anything, ask questions, because promise you they're not going to tell you everything. And even if they do, still do your research on your own, because they can tell you one thing and it won't be true. Do your research on your own before y'all say y'all want to let y'all kids get vaccinated.
Now, let me just say this. There's a couple of things I want to say on this that it cannot be emphasized enough. Number one, these shots, regardless if it's the one that they try to make everybody take a few years ago, or just the general ones that are for measles and mumps and all these other things. Let me tell you something without me slamming this table down, because it makes you quite angry. But these shots that they give us, that they give people, they set the tone for the rest of your life. They set the tone for your health story for the rest of your life. And this is why they are in such a mad rush to make sure that when we're babies, that they inject us with as many of them as possible. There was a study that came out, or doctor, I should say, and she did her own study and discovered that there is a direct correlation between at least some of these shots and the allergies and the stuff that we suffer, food allergies. There's a direct correlation with that. And I could definitely tell you, there are, this whole thing with the gluten. Everybody's allergic to gluten. Well, gluten is a natural thing in food and grains. It's very natural. It's not something that they just kind of invented or something like that. It's natural, right? But all of a sudden, everybody's got a gluten issue, right? Same thing with dairy. I'm lactose intolerant and all of this stuff. These things that they put in us as children, they set the tone for all of that. The human body can take a whole lot. It can take a whole lot. And the whole object of the game for these pharmaceutical companies is to break that barrier, to break down your immune system, to make you sick. Because as long as you are sick, they are making money. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is the relationship between doctors and everybody else. They cannot make money unless you're sick, because if you're not sick, they can't make any money off of you. You understand what I'm saying? And so they have to get to you at a very young age, like in this case here. And it sets the tone. It basically rewires you for the rest of your life. So if you have children, what I will tell you, what I am asking you to do is like what these parents said is, listen, go, you may want to, like they said, ask questions, do your research. Don't ever let any of these doctors, I don't care if they're black, all right? Well, we got to trust our own because, we can't trust the white doctor. Listen, they all get their paycheck from the same industry. It doesn't matter. They all get their paycheck from the same people. So they are all in it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you have to make it a priority to ask questions, all right? Especially when it comes to our children. And then even for us as adults, you go into the grocery store and they have the sign up, well, now we're offering flu shots and it ain't too late to get the flu shot and the other shot. And it's actually free. You can come on and get it right now. Think about it. Why would I get a shot that's sitting in a facility that's right next to a place where I can buy some rotisserie chicken and some and a pie? You know what I'm saying? All within the same pocket. No. First of all, no, I'm not doing that, period. Second of all, I'm definitely not doing it there. But unfortunately, a lot of our people have fallen into that trap. And as it gets warmer, yet again, we're going to see many of our elders out there masked up, got plastic all on their hands and everything else, the very things that we shouldn't be doing because they have given into the fear. This is why I hate all politicians, all of these talking heads that are out here that are spreading fear to our elders, telling them that if they don't do this and you don't take this, you're going to die. I was just reading about the man who basically is responsible for developing the whole syphilis program and how he was just randomly going in, because it wasn't just Tuskegee. He was going into South America. He was going to all these different pockets all throughout America and the Americans, and going to the houses, going to these facilities that house people that were mentally ill, and they were just shooting them up. There was one instance where they talked about how he would, like if a person was dealing with you got syphilis, you got pus coming out of those sores. Now check this out. This is how demonic these people are. It makes me mad when I think about it. He was taking the pus that was coming out of these people, that was oozing out of these people. He would suck it up with a needle and then inject it in the back of the skull of people who are mentally challenged. They know what's going on. And they would inject it into the back of the heads of these people. And then he's sitting up there taking notes over a series of days, weeks, and months, and watching them as they get paralyzed. You got to understand something, and this is one of the things I'm going to show you later on. See, particularly as black folks, of course, we care about ourselves, right? And we on our own self-interest, just like any other group, right? But what I want you to understand is that it ain't just black folks they after. They after everybody. These folks, there's a whole class of people. You can call them lizards, you can call them aliens, or whatever else you want to call them. I don't care. What I am saying is that the people that are running this thing, they are an equal opportunity destroyer. And the medical industry, as we know it, is built on the foundation of these people that do these kind of things. And they've been doing it for years and years and years and years and years and years. That's why it amazed me when I sat back and I just watched how people just fell into this whole nonsense that took back a few years ago. Now, the other thing I had on here, let me get to this, go to my health section here. Do you guys remember And I saw this video. It pops up every now and then, but I want to make sure that people don't forget this, what took place during that time. Because I know there's a lot of news going on. You know, we got, you know, the news cycle is just, it's a lot going on. There's a lot to focus on. I get it. I understand it. I get it. But there's some things that we cannot, under any circumstance, allow ourselves to forget. Do you remember when they were scaring the hell into people and telling people that, hey, listen, you don't take, the hospital's overflowing. They're overflowing. It's people, they're jam packed. There's so many people up in there and all that. You remember all of that? And we were hearing all this stuff. People scared to death because people, what they did, because let's go through it. They made you stay in your house. And they said, don't leave basically, if you're going to leave your house, only leave your house if you're going to get groceries or something like that, but you got to come back in. Don't you dare go outside. And then you had people ratting each other out. That's how scared they were. If they saw someone outside. I was in the middle of the woods. When I would go on my hikes and stuff, when I was living in Jersey, I would go on my hikes in the woods or whatever. I'm in the woods, y'all, in the woods. And it would be a whole family walking in the woods with masks on. And I'm sitting up there like, what? If anything, this is the best place to not have a mask on, because you got all these trees that are giving you all this fresh oxygen and everything. I'm kid you not, people were in the woods wearing masks. I remember seeing videos where people were at the beach in the water. How you gonna be in the ocean wearing a mask? I'm not playing. People be in the swimming pool wearing masks. Anyway, so let me show this video to y'all, because this is something, the visuals of this we cannot forget. I gotta turn the music off on that because do you remember this? They were telling us, all these hospitals, they're all packed. No, and they just finished giving people all these jabs. And then after they did that, they started dancing. Do you remember this? All over the world, they were dancing. Do you remember this? They were telling you, they locked you into your houses, so you had to watch the mainstream media narrative that, oh, just trust me when I say the hospitals are packed. You know, they're just teeming with folk. We just gotta dig a big hole and we just gotta push bodies in there and all that. But then they're saying that, and then at the same time, this stuff was being, the hospitals themselves were putting this online. They were posting this. Now I'm getting somewhere with this in a sec, because you got to follow this thing. See, like I said, again, I know we're in a high speed society where there's all kind of news coming at us literally every day. But I'm telling you, you cannot forget this stuff here. These people did a whole ritual. And then after they did the ritual, now they're dancing. Look at this. And this is all over the world, y'all. They were doing all these dance videos. Look at them. They got crutches and they're dancing. I mean, I can't even this was like a whole mockery. And it just amazes me when I sit back. I feel like I'm in a movie. I'm literally in a movie. And I'm like, you know, when you're watching a movie and you see the general public that's portrayed in a movie, and they just kind of like fall for the narratives or whatever, and you sitting in the audience looking at this like, you big dummy, do you not see that these people are demons? You know, but the people on the screen don't get it. But guess what? We're the people in the screen. And people, and like I said, we can't forget this. Like, they literally did a whole ritual. And then after that, just like you watch any ritual that you see, if you ever seen, you know, these little weird rituals and stuff people do, and then after that, they just start dancing. They give honor to whatever god or deities or that they worship. This is exactly what was going on. Look at this. And so, and as you know, and I don't have the book here, but since then, there's been a lot of activity that has happened, and people are still documenting it. Here's a story coming out of Boston. Nurses at Massachusetts hospital concerned about a growing number of cancer cases amongst staff. Do you think that's natural? That nurses all within the same hospital are all catching a case of brain cancer? All catching a case of cancer, not brain cancer. I say brain cancer. You think that's natural? But see, we have trained our brain, or they have trained your brain to see that as normal. That's why I look at these people who are out here acting a pure D fool, thinking that Tesla cars are the greatest enemy on planet Earth right now. No, people are being taken out wholesale. I want to pull that story up. Boston nurses cancer. Hold on. Let's see if I can pull that story up. Yeah, this is CBS News. Yeah, they're trying to get me to get rid of my ad blocker. I ain't getting rid of nothing. All right, let's see. Let's go to that. Let's see here. Nurses at Newton Wellesley Hospital say they're concerned about a growing number of cancer cases among longtime nurses who have been working on the 5th floor maternal care ward. You're going into work every day with that feeling in your gut, and it's a lousy feeling, a nurse who doesn't want to be identified. She's speaking out after being diagnosed with a brain tumor and says she's not alone among her nursing colleagues. It's getting to the point where the number just increases, and you start saying, am I crazy thinking this? She says, this can't be a coincidence. She claims as many as 10 nurses who work on the floor have been diagnosed with different brain tumors over the last few years. Some cancerous and some not. She says 3 have had surgery and believes the hospital has not been supportive enough. So for those of you who've been complaining about healthcare, the healthcare system, hey, you got nurses that are saying that they're not even getting it from their own hospital that they work in. We want reassurance because this has not been a reassuring past few months for a lot of the staff members, she said. We want to feel safe the same way we want to make our patients feel safe. The hospital confirms it has been investigating since December and has interviewed 10 nurses, 6 of whom it says have differing brain tumors. This is all in the same, this is in the maternal unit. That means you got mamas up in there. You got new mothers going up in there. So how would you feel as a woman that's about to give birth and you find this out on the back end? That, oh yeah, by the way, I know you're about to give birth, but I just want you to know that 10 of the nurses on this floor, oh, they all got some type of brain cancer. How would that make you feel? You're just supposed to just take it and be like, well, you know, that comes with the job. That doesn't come with the job. It doesn't. Stop convincing yourself of that. That is not normal. That is not natural. They made these people make a very bad decision some time ago. You know, I got to speak very general on this platform. And then they go on. They don't really say too much after that in this article. But we're supposed to look over this and act as if, it's not. And isn't it something that you don't really hear anybody talking about this, do you? Everything else is being discussed, but things like this, literally, you have a generation of people that are being taken out. And like I said, I'm going to get to something in a moment here, and I'm going to share something with you. It's an excerpt from a book. But this is something, y'all, that I am pleading with you. Please do not forget these things. Do not forget the sting. There should have been a sting that you experienced. I know I did. Watching people, we get emails from individuals who are like, man, what can I do? You know what I mean? Or I have a loved one. What can I do? Fortunately, there are some solutions out there, natural solutions. But the first step, number one, is that you have to get a renewed mind, and you got to stop depending on these bastards in white coats. And if you listen, I know there's some nice people that are in that system. Listen, let me tell you something. I know. I get it. There are some that are nice, and they're out there and they're really trying to do the right thing. I get it. But I'm sorry, when you are in a system that is at the root tied to ensuring that you stay sick, that is not a friend. I'm sorry, you're not. Good intentions are not. You are not a friend. You are not someone that's trying to better the lives of people. You're not. If you're just handing, like the young lady that the mother, they just telling her, hey, just take all these shots. Giving the baby all these shots. The baby didn't even have a chance to go past one. And you remember that story that we covered, I think it was last year, a young black woman, this is down in Atlanta. She went into the store to get, not store, she went to the grocery, wow, I'm trying to get y'all in the grocery store, into the hospital, sorry. She went to the hospital to get her, I think she was giving birth, but there was some complications. She went to a black doctor. And you know what ended up happening? She went into the hospital trying to give birth. You know what the doctor ended up doing? She made the decision to, let's pull the baby out. Oops. Oh, I accidentally decapitated the baby. Yeah, that happened. We covered that. Just do a search on YouTube. You'll find it. And then, there was lawsuits and whatever. And I think at the end of the day, the doctor, she walked away pretty much with a slap on the wrist. That's it. Anyway, let's move on. I'm not trying to inundate your day. Yep, today is still going to be a great day. Okay, even with all of that. But you got to have as we're entering into a new week, your mind has to be sharp, especially during this time. Here we go right here. And I'm getting stories after stories after stories like this. This woman right here, bachelorette Katie Thurston, 34, discovers breast cancer is stage 4, is now spread to her liver 5 days after her wedding. When I tell you, it's story after story after story where this people, young people, it just going all over it's jumping all over their body. And people just kind of go along like, well, that's just how it is, and then they come out, they spin the stories with if you get too much sunlight, that can increase the chances that you get, if you eat too much chocolate, they'll come up with all kind of stuff to make you think is everything else, but do not question the narrative. Well, we're going to question it. And you should be too. And this is why we've created these different tools here. You know, everything from Baba Herb Assistant, Pharma Guy, those 2 AI apps that we were talking about. Just go to journeymanandwoman.com. If you go there, there's links there. Just click on those links. It'll take you there. So anytime the doctor hands you something, now you got tools that will do all the research for you and put it in a format that's easy to read, easy to follow, and that you're not just taking stuff just because they're telling you to take it. You are informed, but you also are given, you know, additional information where it's telling you, okay, what are the herbal replacements for these things? You understand what I'm saying? So that's our solution here. We ain't just talking here, but that's our solution to the situation. And, you know, some people are going to get it and other people are not. At the end of the day, all you got to do, you know, all you can do is the best you can in warning people about this stuff. Anyway, let's move on to politics here. And, you know, as you know, a lot of people have been complaining again about, you know, you see all this nonsense about, you know, Elon Musk. We got to go after Elon Musk. And, you know, and yesterday, I think it was like some big day of them doing the, what you call it? Tesla Day, anti-Tesla Day, and all these old folks out there. I said, y'all a bunch of losers. I mean, I'm serious. You're a loser. What is that doing? Like literally, what is that doing? Nothing. It's not doing absolutely nothing. And they up there holding their signs. We just hate Elon Musk and all of that. And someone actually, when I tell you, you can't do stuff anymore, people will pull out receipts and paperwork on you just like that. Someone actually found, when I tell you they are studying to the detail. That's why I said a lot of these churches would not stand in the outside of their own bubble, because you got a lot of folks that are all about keeping a receipt book. And you had people who were studying. Now, I ain't making this up. If I had the videos, or the tweets, I would share it with you, because they created a database and everything. They were actually studying a few of these Tesla protests. And one of the things, and a couple of things they took note of. They took note of all the signage. They wrote them all down. And they said, isn't it interesting? All the signs say the same thing in all these different groups, like literally the same font and everything. And they got to start asking questions or whatever, and made a whole list. It was about 30 activist groups that were funded, some of them still being funded by the government. And some are being funded by the Democratic Party and all of that. And they're funding these people to go to these different, you know, Tesla dealerships or whatever to do their thing. Another thing they discovered was, they said it was so interesting. They said as soon as that clock struck 12, they said everybody just dispersed. I mean, they literally just dispersed. And that's it. And so it's really something. Someone said Elon Musk is losing no sleep over those tests. He ain't. This man's the richest man in the world. He ain't losing no sleep. Now, you know, the stock market in general is experiencing a dip, including Tesla, right? But Tesla, the company itself, it's still in the billions of dollars. Tesla ain't going nowhere. And everybody's focused again on the cars. I keep telling y'all, it ain't the cars, it's the robots. I know that sounds like, okay, you wild. No, I'm trying to tell you, that is the next step. And they're starting in, I think it's later this year. They're going to start rolling these things out where the robots, these personalized robots for Tesla, the Tesla one is called, Optimus. There you go. Optimus. That's just the Tesla one. There's about over 100 companies right now. There's a whole video someone did, and they outline all of these companies that have robots, automated robots that are being released right now. And they're slowly taking these jobs left and right. And once Tesla flips that switch, once they flip that switch, it's gonna be a rock. It's gonna be a whole wrap for a lot of people. People focus on the cars. The cars. Let me help you understand. The cars themselves. This is what he says. The cars are being used to collect information, to collect data. That's what the purpose of the cars are for. They're collecting data for what? All his stuff is connected for these robots, because the software is collecting real world stuff. And so they're collecting that, and they're using portions of that software for the driverless cars that they're about to drop in Austin, Texas, starting in Austin, Texas in June of this year. And I went through all of that, explaining how that is about to explode. And then there's other portions of that software that they're using. They're extracting that from these cars, and they're putting it towards these robots, because they got to understand the real world and how the different real world objects and stuff that's out here. That's what he's thinking. So you put the little Nazi symbol on the car, that ain't doing nothing. That's literally not doing anything. But you get people, you just love Trump. It's that binary logic. I'm just showing you facts, and that means I love Trump. No, it doesn't at all. I'm just trying to tell you what the man done said. He said this stuff. Anyway, let's move on. In the UK. Oh, sorry. I didn't. Anyway, Obama, it's so funny because Obama was saying this same stuff about how we got to make some serious cuts, and it's going to be, it's going to be uncomfortable, but we're going to have to do this and all that. And nobody was saying a peep. Well, let's go back in the time machine. We don't need Marty McFly for this. And let's take a listen to what Obama was saying when he was in office. Let's take a listen.
One of the commitments that I made to the American people was that we would do a better job here in Washington in rooting out wasteful spending. At a time when families have had to cut back, have had to make some tough decisions about getting rid of things that they don't need in order to make the investments that they do, we thought that it was entirely appropriate for our governments and our agencies to try to root out waste, large and small, in a systematic way. Obviously, this is even more important given the deficits that we've inherited and that have grown as a consequence of this recession. This makes these efforts even more imperative. Now, this does mean making some tough choices. It means cutting some programs that I think are worthy, but we may not be able to afford right now. We don't need to wait for Congress in order to do something about wasteful spending that's out there. Cutting waste, making government more efficient is something that leaders in both parties have worked on, from Senator Tom Coburn, Republican, to Democrat Claire McCaskill. We haven't seen as much action out of Congress as we'd like, and that's why we launched on our own initiative the campaign to cut waste. Not just to cut spending, but to make government work better for the American people. For example, we've identified thousands of government buildings that we don't need. Some have sat empty for years. So we're getting rid of those properties.
Bruh, this is what they've been doing now. They shut down USAID. They literally have been saying this. They said that there are buildings in D.C. right now that are sitting empty, and we got to shut them down. If you sit there and listen to mainstream media, they are losing their minds over this now. Oh my God, how can you close down these buildings? Don't you know there's people in there? And they're telling you nobody's in there. So when Obama proposed this, it was okay. You didn't hear anybody saying anything. Now all of a sudden Simon says, okay, the Republicans do. Now all of a sudden it's racism. Now all of a sudden, oh my God, what is he doing? And as I've been telling you, again, unfortunately, because you have a large percentage of the black middle class, black American middle class, that is rooted in these federal jobs, guess who was being impacted even when Obama was in office and doing this? It was black folks. So black folks were losing jobs during this time, and nobody was saying anything. Now all of a sudden Trump does it. Now all of a sudden it's racism. Now all of a sudden, oh my God, the sky is falling. How dare you do this? You're just recklessly just going in and shutting down all the, slicing all these jobs away from these hardworking Americans. And the very people, these federal workers, the very ones that are out here that are screaming and hollering about this, they were willing to go through the chopping block. We didn't hear a peep out of them. When Obama was cutting their jobs, we didn't hear a peep out of them. But now the shoe is on the other foot. Now we got Trump doing it. Now all of a sudden it's, but my family. Now, mind you, here's the other layer that you got to add. There was no work at home benefit that the federal workers had at that time when Obama was in office. These people were going into work to work. So since those days, and then, after COVID, now they were in the office. Now they're at home. And many of them, they did a study, and they found that many folks, they were double dipping. In other words, they're supposed to be doing the government's work, but then they got a second job and third job or whatever. So they're getting a check from the federal government. And then meanwhile, they're working, some other job. You understand what I'm saying? So they had even more benefits. But then as soon as Trump comes around and Elon Musk, all of a sudden, how can you do this? How can you do this? These people lose their job. Don't you understand what you're doing now? There's no heart in it. There's just no heart. You're not thinking. You're not thinking about the livelihood of these people. Obama was doing it, and y'all had no problems. But now, that's why I said you cannot allow this system to short circuit your memory, because your memory is going to be the best thing that you have as we go through this whole time that we're in right now. They want you to forget things, but we ain't gonna forget here. Let them talk. Let them continue to talk here.
And that's going to save the American people billions of dollars. Roger Rhodes works at the Department of Commerce. Raise your hand, Roger. There's Roger. He found a way to save the department almost $2 million a year on its cell phone bills. And I'm sure that there are probably some consumers out there that would like to talk to them and find out what they could save on their cell phone bills. Celeste Steele is here. Celeste, raise your hand. Celeste works at the Department of Homeland Security, and she's helping to save taxpayers tens of millions of dollars by changing the way the department buys goods and services. I've also tasked Vice President Biden to work with the secretaries of all our agencies to identify some systemic areas of potential improvement: travel, transportation, IT services, all of which we know can save us potentially billions of dollars. And in September, Joe convened the cabinet and has really pushed them hard in finding savings across all our agencies. So today I'm...
Well, the IT department, he really came up with a big fail on that one, because they just discovered that the Treasury Department is still using COBOL. They're still using COBOL as their as far as their system is concerned. Their computer system is being ran by COBOL. COBOL. That was a programming language that was developed back in the 50s. Oh, and there's nobody's gonna be able to hack that one. Ain't nobody gonna be able to hack COBOL. That's airtight. Yeah, right.
Signing an executive order that builds on their good work. It directs agencies to slash spending in each of these areas: travel, printing, IT, because we believe that we can get better results for less using technology. And overall, spending in the areas covered by this executive order will shrink by 20%. These are important steps that can save taxpayers billions of dollars over the next several years. There are things that we can do right now that will actually deliver better government more efficiently, more consumer friendly, for less money. And we're going to keep on finding every possible way that we can do that, even if Congress is not acting. So with that, I'm going to...
There you go. All right. So it's, there's no secret here. I mean, that's been out. But again, we're dealing in a world where people have very short memories about a lot of things. That's why I have greater appreciation, as a Black American individual, for those recordings. You ever hear those recordings of our people who were former slaves in this country, where they actually went to these former slaves and recorded these people talking, and they were saying, yeah, I remember, and they remember stuff that happened like in the 1800s, in the early 1800s, and they're just going through all these meticulously, all these different things that they experienced or witnessed or saw or heard or whatever, those prior generations, they had to remember a lot of things. They didn't have the internet. You know what I mean? They didn't have that. And in our case, a lot of them weren't permitted to read or write. They had to depend on this. But now we live in a world where our brain is becoming this. And it can't be that. You have to remember these stories, y'all. You have to. Because if you don't remember them, these people can flip things at a drop of a dime, and you think, you think otherwise. You're like, what? Didn't that I don't remember that. That didn't happen. I can't tell you how many times I've come across that. Anyway, let's move on to the next story here. And this is, we're going to go to the UK. This is something going on in the UK. I don't know if you guys have been tracking what's going on there, but this is pretty much all throughout Europe. They are literally what we're witnessing right now is really quite interesting. It's very interesting. And what's happening in the UK, and we'll just focus on the UK for a moment, is that there has been a huge influx of people who are coming out of Muslim countries who are taking positions in government, who are taking positions in various leadership positions all throughout that country. And they are changing the course and the direction of that country. And it's just, I'm sitting back and watching this, and I'm like, this is something. Now, this is actually, I was going to do a separate video on this the other day, and I don't even know. It's going to take me some time to really go through that, through that video there. I'm trying to find it now. But basically, what we're witnessing right now is that it's the fall of a lot of these European countries. That's what we're witnessing right now. It's literally a fall. Oh, this is it right here. I knew I had it. How can I best, and I've touched on this many, many times before. Let me just say it this way without going too deep. There are powers that shouldn't be that are very eager to change the face or the population, the makeup, the physical makeup of many of these countries, particularly a lot of these European countries. A lot of these European countries are white, mostly white countries. They are aggressively and have been doing this for a very long time, trying to change the makeup of these countries. All right. And I've given you some examples of this. Within these countries, you have these groups, all right, headed by a certain group of people that call themselves the chosen. Let me just say that. And you will find, and one day I actually went through a whole list. It's very interesting. A lot of these open borders, we're pro-immigration people. They tend to be of that persuasion. And we actually, and I'm not just saying this, just throwing this out. We actually there's a whole list of people of different groups that we went through all throughout Europe that are very focused and very intentional in extracting these people, particularly from Northern Africa and in that region, also within like the Middle East, what we call the Middle East, and forcing these people to find a new home in these various European countries that were traditionally mostly white. And see, the audience I'm talking to right now, I want you to pay attention because see, I know numbers of you will immediately switch to the Bible and try to say, see, this is the fall of Esau. This is what it is. See, this is what's happening right now. It's the fall of Esau. Just like it was promised. No, it's not. It's not. Once you understand, you go beyond your bubble and you start looking at the geopolitics that's at play and the people who are pulling the strings, it goes way beyond that bubble. Okay. And so, and I even took you through a lot of the ads that are being pushed, a lot of the instruction booklets that they're giving to these people as they're crossing the border. They are intentionally going after the men, and they're telling them, "Hey, listen, like I showed you some instruction booklets. I think this is in Germany, if I can't remember, if I remember correctly, where they had an instruction booklet, and they was explaining step by step in drawings. This is the proper way to make love or to have sexual relations with a European woman." And they had the image, it was a dark-skinned dude and it was a white woman. And they showed step by step, this is how you're to do it. This is what they're handing these people as they're crossing the border. And then you have all of these other things going on all over Europe. It's like more and more and more. They're just taking over the net. They're just more and more and more. It's just being encouraged wholesale. And it's something I'm going to share with you in a moment that's going to make sense as to why they're doing this. But make no mistake about it, this is very intentional on what's taking place over there. And it's not just over there. It's happening all over. It's been happening here in the United States. These powers that shouldn't be, they want the plan is for the entire world to be intermingled and intertwined with each other at such a degree where they can never remember where they came from. They can never remember their history. History is like, whatever. I don't really remember that. Because you've been so intertwined and intermingled with all these different races and stuff until you can't look at what happened to us as black folks. How many black Americans can raise your hand right now and say, oh yeah, I remember a few generations ago, my great-great-great-grandfather, he was in this village in the Congo somewhere and they used to do this ritual. In fact, I have all these different artifacts that he passed down to me and, I still have them today. We can't say that, can we? See, we were the kind of the guinea pigs when you think about it. Let's take these people and we're going to just mix them up, keep mixing them up, because by doing that, they'll never remember where they came from. They'll never remember it. And so they said, okay, it worked good for them black folks. Okay, now let's start now. The next step is now we're going to do with everyone else. But the group that's pushing it, when you look at their land, they ain't pushing it for their land. You notice that? You can't step up into Israel and think that you're going to bring all, Puerto Ricans and everybody else going to walk up in it. No. There's some strict guidelines you got to have before you come in there. And they look very dim at that stuff. I know you got some interracial stuff going on there, but they keep that at bay. They keep that at bay. You can't just go up in there like that. But there's a reason for that, and we explained it, that's baked into their religion. That's a whole different video. And I think we've touched on that a great deal in the past. But anyway, this is a video that I came across. This is the Prime Minister over in the UK, and he is cheering for a two-tier justice system. Let's take a listen to what exactly he's talking about here, and let's go.
Well, I'm disappointed in this response, and the Lord Chancellor is obviously continuing to engage on this, and we're considering our response. All options are on the table, but I am disappointed at this outcome, and now we'll have to consider what we do as a result.
Well, let's cross live to our political editor, Christopher Hope. Now, it seems to me, Chopper, that the politicians want the Sentencing Council to change their direction here, but they're not willing to legislate to do so. They're in a bit of a war of words here.
Yes, they are. And hi, Charlie. Hi, Nana. Welcome to Huddersfield, where it's pretty cold up here. I've been talking to the Prime Minister moments ago. I asked him twice, will you just scrap the Sentencing Council? It's a quango. You have the power to scrap it. What you don't do is have the power to overrule it. And frankly, the judges now are looking back at the elected politicians here, both Sir Keir Starmer and Shabana Mahmood, who is a Justice Secretary, and saying, I'm afraid to say, these are what's going to happen. And from Tuesday, this is what will happen. Judges will prepare pre-sentencing reports where necessary. And if someone is of ethnic, cultural or faith minority, or a young person under 25, or a woman or a pregnant woman, they will get a special sentencing report. Normally those pre-sentencing reports do mean that the sentence is mitigated, that time is taken off for a jail term, for example. What it means, though, is that white men are going to be treated a lot tougher by judges from Tuesday compared to other groups in society. And that is unacceptable to the Prime Minister. He said in terms there, I said twice, would you scrap the Sentencing Council? He said all options are open. Shabana Mahmood, she's the Justice Secretary, she's put out a note just moments ago. She said that in her view, these guidelines represent clear differential treatment under which someone's outcomes may be influenced by their race, culture or religion. This is unacceptable, says the Justice Secretary, and I formally set out my objections, she says, in a letter to the Sentencing Council last week. She is extremely disappointed, she says, by what's happened here. All options on the table, that same language used there by Keir Starmer, and they will legislate if necessary. The question now, though, is can they legislate by Tuesday? The answer surely is not. It will take months and months, and in that period, there'll be a lot of uncertainty, I think, for white men in front of the judges.
So what they're working on right now, basically, is they are over there in the UK. They're wrestling with legislation where white men will be more of the target. Or it'll be a two-tier, sorry. It'll be a two-tier. So in other words, if you are ethnic, if you're a mother or whatever that's ethnic, or you got children, ethnic, meaning that you're non-white. What they are proposing is a system where you will automatically get like a second chance or a third chance or something like that when it comes to the law. If you break the law, they're like, oh, well, that's okay. That's okay. But if you are a white man, they're saying, no, we're going to throw the book at you. And so I'm sitting back here and I'm like, they're literally trying to off their own country. This is crazy. I would be mad too if I was a white man, if the laws are in place for me. I'm just saying. Now, before you may hear this, like I said, for some of you, you're cheering and you're like, yeah, that's right. It's got to come back to them. And before you cheer, I want to read something to you, because you remember when I said earlier, I said the powers that shouldn't be, they are equal opportunity destroyers. They don't care about your black behind. They really don't care about a lot of these white people either. They don't care. You can't think just in turn. And Candace Owens, she's one that's starting to learn the hard. She opted to go the long route to her awakening, because she's starting to realize now that, okay, I know what I'm dealing with now. Because you can't just say, oh, it's the white people. It ain't just specific. You got to get more specific than that. You got to get more specific in that. It's the chosen ones. All right. So I'm trying to pull this up for you. This is the book here. It's actually a free, they're saying it's a free download. It's right here. This is the book right here. All right. And let me see if I'll copy and paste this link here for you. And I'll paste it in the chat for you. This is the link. And I'm going to read to you an excerpt from this book here. The Committee of 300, that's just one organization. There are many, you're the 13 bloodlines and all of that. These are the powers that shouldn't be, and they all abide by a particular religion by the name of Judaism. See, people don't want to talk about that. But anyway, here's an excerpt here. Let me read it for you. At least 4 billion, quote unquote, useless eaters shall be eliminated by the year 2050 by means of limited wars, organized epidemics of fatal, rapid-acting diseases, and starvation. Energy, food, and water shall be kept at a subsistence levels for the non-elite, starting with the white populations of Western Europe and North America, and then spreading to other races. The population of Canada, Western Europe, and the United States will be decimated more rapidly than on other continents until the world's population reaches a manageable level of 1 billion, of which 500 million will consist of Chinese and Japanese races, selected because they are people who have been regimented for centuries and who are accustomed to obeying authority without question. Let me continue to read even beyond this here. From time to time, there shall be artificially contrived food and water shortages and medical care to remind the masses that their very existence depends on the goodwill of the Committee of 300. We just witnessed that with the whole egg thing. Remember that? Oh, we can't eat the eggs. Then it'll be something else. You got to throw this out. These things aren't normal, y'all. We have allowed this system to normalize these kind of things for us, and it's not. After the destruction of housing, auto, steel, and heavy good industries, there shall be limited housing and industries of any kind allowed to remain, shall be under the direction of NATO's Club of Rome, as shall all scientific and space exploration development limited to the elite under the control of the Committee of 300. Space weapons of all former nations shall be destroyed along with nuclear weapons. All essential and non-essential pharmaceutical products, doctors, dentists, and healthcare workers will be registered in the Central Computer Data Bank, and no medicine or no medical care will be prescribed without express permission of regional controllers responsible for each city, town, and village. And then I wish there was more to this here. It says the United States will be flooded by peoples of alien cultures. And then it goes on. This book was written years ago, y'all. So this is what we're dealing with. This is the system that we're dealing with now. Yeah, peace and mind counseling. You're right. The Georgia Guidestones. Exactly. That's what it said. And when you notice that it just mysteriously blew up, well, that was the execution of the contract, meaning that they were telling people for years, hey, this is what we got planned. This is what we got in store. We're going to keep the population down to a certain number. So because it's easily manageable and all of that. Remember that it was on those Georgia Guidestone for years, and people would, I don't know where it came from. I don't know who built it. Who built it? I don't know. Everybody in a big mystery. And then all of a sudden, boom, the thing just blows up. And I was like, what does that mean? That's the execution of the plan. That was the execution, meaning that, all right, let's kick it in gear. And that's exactly what they're doing right now. Anyway, let's move on here. We've got a few more stories we're going to cover here. And like I keep saying, yes, you're still going to have a great day. This is not a time to be giving up and just, oh, Lord, woe is me or whatever. You treat each day as a brand new day, right? There's a lot to live for. There's a lot for you that you can and you can do and should be doing. And you should be aware of these things, right? But we're not going to focus on those things exclusively. You understand what I'm saying? Life in of itself is a beautiful thing. And this is why we encourage you to enjoy every bit of it, period, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's go to this story here. This was under, switch gears, we'll go to politics. And this is a story here. This happened, we had two stories actually. You know, we got, you know, of course, Democrats, they've just been losing their minds over, you know, the fact that they don't have the control that they, you know, at least from what it seems like, they don't have the control that they have enjoyed in the past. And so here are two individuals here. This one here, this guy here, he is, you know, so they're resorting to all these dramatics, right? All of this showboating and, you know, and just whatever. So this guy here, he is a Democrat down in Florida, in the Florida Senate, and he was accusing someone on the other side of the aisle of dismissing the existence of racial profiling. And that's not what happened at all, but, you know, never let that go to waste. So here's him kind of doing his whole dramatic thing in the Senate in Florida. Let's take a listen here.
Same color car and individuals getting pulled over for that. That is not a myth or a theory, Senator Martin. There are individuals in communities who absolutely get pulled over because an officer is racial profiling. That's not a myth, nor is it a theory. Now, while it may not be in your community, I'm talking about you got 5 black members who's sitting in this room. So don't say racial profiling is not real, because it is, sir. No, I'm talking to you because you said it. No, racial profiling is not a myth. So you cannot stand here and say that. Don't do that. Yes, you did.
Senator Oscar.
In color.
Anyway, there was a study that was done some time ago. It was a black professor. I was trying to find it. We actually did a video on this too as well. It's a black professor who is a very liberal professor. And he actually did a very deep study on it. I really don't have the time to go through because it was a lot. It's a whole lot. But anyway, he did a study and concluded that although that there is racial profiling and it does exist, it is not to the degree that a lot of these people make it out to be. He was not saying that it doesn't happen. It does happen. But he was saying to the degree that people like this individual was trying to make seem like it is the case, it's not hardly to that degree at all. And it shocked this liberal establishment so bad. I mean, they've been trying for years to fire this guy. And this guy is very liberal, but he's also about the truth at the end of the day. And he really did his homework on this thing. And I'm trying to find it, and maybe I'll put a link in the description after this, and I'll share it with you. But yeah, it was a really compelling kind of piece of work that he did there. And so that was one story here, you know, people just blowing things way out of proportion or whatever just to score some points. But here's another guy here that I know that many of you guys are familiar with here. This was Justin Pearson. This is the local politician, young guy down in Tennessee, who, you know, has, you know, kind of like supposedly the next Martin Luther King. And he was going off. Let me just set it up for you. They were doing a hearing on gun control. Well, you know, this guy here, Justin Pearson, he's very much against gun control. And so they were having a hearing on it, and you know, and he got pretty emotional about it. And so here we go. I'll just play it, and then you can let's watch it.
Buried my brother. I planned for his entire funeral. My fiance made his obituary. I made sure that he was taken care of, even in death. That's what I've been doing.
Let him go! Don't you let him go! Don't you ever come out to get my family.
So when I understand where you're at and what you're doing and why, but at the end of the day, we've been here working.
Mm-hmm.
We've been on the House floor voting on bills. We've taken the tough questions. We've taken the tough votes.
Yeah.
And we're doing so. So I don't think it's fair for you to come here and lecture this committee on hard work when we've been up here doing the hard work.
And thank you, Chair Farmer, for your comments. They incense me. They make me very, very angry. Very angry. Not just because of the lack of regard, but the disrespect.
Yeah, I just want to make sure someone said he is for strict gun control. This Justin Pearson, he is. I probably said something different earlier, but no, Justin Pearson, just to be clear, is for stricter gun control, right? And so now he's going to get in talking about his brother and all this stuff here.
And the same denigrating tone that you used on the State House floor when the vote to expel me happened. It's disrespectful. It's unbecoming, and it's beneath the standard of a person who's supposed to represent in the Tennessee House of Representatives. It is a pathetic excuse for you to not answer the question of why we are doing nothing about the gun violence epidemic than to personally attack me. But let me explain to you what I have been doing, Representative, since you asked. My brother, Temperance Darnell Pearson, one of the loves of my life, passed away from gun suicide on December 1st of 2024. And since that happened, it shattered my family like gun violence has shattered so many families. Shattered my nephew's lives, my mother, my father, my other brothers who are remaining. I buried my brother. I planned for his entire funeral. My fiance made his obituary. I made sure that he was taken care of, even in death. That's what I've been doing. But also, not just that, I went to all of my nephew's schools. I met with their principals and their teachers to ensure that they are okay. I gave them and made sure that they had grief counseling and that they're seeing a psychiatrist. That's what I've been doing. And while you're talking about hard work, you need to realize that our job is not just in this state house with these marble floors. Our jobs are on the streets and in the communities that we serve. And so while you've been here passing bills that have been hurting transgender children, while you've been here passing bills that have been hurting the poor, hurting the marginalized, hurting the disenfranchised, while you've been here passing bills that have not ended poverty, while you've been here passing bills that have not helped people who need Medicaid expansion, while you've been here doing the hard work of making sure that our state is not the state that it can be, because you have decided.
Representative Pearson.
Reality of our situation is only to be.
Representative Pearson.
While you've been here doing that, I've been in my community.
Representative Pearson.
Meeting with young people, going to school, registering
Representative Pearson.
voters. That's what I've been doing. Hard work doesn't just happen with this legislation. It happens.
Representative Pearson.
And I was not disrespectful to you. That you resort to yelling. Basically, everything you just told me, you just did.
There's so much to unpack there, but let's just make this quick here. Double one, of course, it's unfortunate to hear anybody that's losing a life, period. And, according to what Justin Pearson is saying, that his brother committed suicide. And so, of course, nobody likes to hear that. That's just, it's a quite unfortunate thing. But to use suicide, someone's choice to end their lives, as a political talking point that has nothing to do with the right of gun ownership is a very dishonest thing. It's very, I would say, it's very disrespectful to the memory of your brother. Because here's the thing. Because if someone is suicidal, regardless if there's a gun available or not, if that individual has made a choice to end their lives, they're going to do it. There are people who jump off of bridges almost once a month. So are we going to ban bridges? There are people who take pills. They take pharmaceuticals. They take pharmaceuticals as a way to overdose so that they can kill themselves. It's quite interesting that people will never propose to ban pharmaceuticals. They'll never propose that and say, we got to have stricter laws, when it comes to pharmaceuticals. People take pharmaceuticals every day as a form of suicide or pushing themselves very close to that. Why is that not proposed? But somehow Your brother's unfortunate choice to end his life involved a gun. So now you want to push legislation to take guns from everybody. That makes no sense at all. It makes no sense at all. And I would have had no problem calling him out on that. Because, see, I see exactly what he's doing. You know, you're using a very unfortunate situation to kind of push an agenda that most people would probably back down because they're like, oh, you know, like someone said, and I believe, I agree with that too. He's still grieving. But people will use their grieving sometimes to push some asinine stuff. And it's people like that you still got to say, you need to sit down. I'm sorry for what happened to you, but you still need to sit down because clearly you are not thinking this thing all the way through. You're not. But this is what these people do all the time. And no, you shouldn't back down on that. You know, when it comes to stuff like that, you're using the memory of your brother to say, okay, what he did and say, and this is why we got to get rid of no, not at all. Okay, then we need to get rid of cars with that same logic. We got to get rid of bridges with that same logic. We got to get rid of all pharmaceuticals with that same logic. Be consistent. But of course, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. And you got to, and this is why they keep using this emotional stuff. That's why I said, when these stories come down your lane, you have to learn to look at the stories as is and train yourself. It takes a moment. It takes some time to not allow yourself to get so emotionally tied to it. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's hard. We're not robots here. And so that's why you gotta, some of these news stories that come down, you gotta let it be on a slow drip. You can't take it all at once. You're not built that way. None of us are built that way. Think about how lives were back in the day when people were living in small villages and stuff like that. The most news that we would hear about was something that was happening within our small village. That's it. So we will process that. Did you hear about what they did in so-and-so's farm? And man, I don't know why he got on them cows. What's he doing with all them cows? And then, you know, how about that family over there? They got them dogs and they kept me up all night. I was going to go over there and give him a tongue lashing and let him know, hey, listen, don't you, you know, you're going to have to silence them dogs. You know, that was the news of the day. Now we live in a society where we are literally being inundated by news from all over the world. Our brains aren't supposed to be consuming all this stuff. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is happening over time when you're consuming stuff that's happening in Europe and stuff that's happening in Central America and South America and Australia and all this stuff? We ain't supposed to be knowing all this. Some things it's okay to be ignorant on. You know what I mean? But this is where technology has brought us to. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be the mature ones and say, you know what? There's some things I'm going to need to back off of. I don't need to hear it. But the key is that you got, it's your, because they have studied you and they know if I can get you in your emotions, I got you. And I got a clip I'm going to show you real quick. We're just about finished here. But here's the article here that I was talking about here. The guy that I said, I got the school wrong. It was a Harvard professor. This guy right here. His name is Roland Fryer. Roland Fryer. Look him up. And he actually did a very extensive study on racial disparities in police uses of force. This guy was a stone liberal. He wasn't no Republican. He was far from it. And he did a study on this. And once he published his results, when I tell you they tried every which way to throw this man under the bus because it didn't fit the narrative. Again, he was not in denial that black folks don't experience these things. He was just simply saying it's not at the level that a lot of people are out here saying. He did the research on this. So anyway, so yeah, that's the guy, that's the gentleman there, and I want you to check out when you get a chance on that, okay? And he had to push past the emotion and had to get to the numbers, and that's exactly what he did. And speaking of emotions, I know y'all have been on that. Oh man, and we're at near the end here. of this broadcast. I know y'all been tracking Never Would Have Made It. Y'all been tracking my boy. And someone came up, they said they put a twist on it. Never would have paid it. I would play the song, the music, but they will copyright me. I never would have paid it because of you. Oh, I would have lost it all. I never would. Come on now. I never would have paid it. I never would have paid it because of you. Because I would have lost it all. And I said to myself, I said, you know what's crazy and what's funny is that I guarantee you Marvin Sapp's church, I guarantee you they probably had the highest tithes and offerings that they've had in months today. I almost guarantee it. You know why? Because church folks, and I was a church folk, people want to line up and say, we standing behind you 100%, Pastor, and we're going to prove it to you. That's how church folks are. I'm telling you, that's how church folks are. And he ain't the only one. Those of y'all that grew up in the church and going to black church, you know how it is. You know how it works. He ain't the only one. I've heard that for years where they tell you, close the doors. Ushers, close the doors. I've heard that for years. Close the doors. And guess who'll be sitting up there looking around? I'll be looking around. They said, now that we got to handle kingdom business here. You know how it go. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't be looking at me like you crazy, like I'm crazy. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, they preachers do this stuff. All black churches, they do this stuff. Close it. We got to handle kingdom business here. It needs to be a holy hush here. There needs to be nobody moving around. Nobody moving around. We're going to close the doors. Nope, I'm sorry, you're not leaving here. Because God said we're going to have to handle business tonight. And what I'm getting in the spirit right now, and then he turned around, the preacher turned around, he got to pull out, not the white envelope, but the yellow one. You know, the one you get from the utility company when you missed a couple of payments. You know, when it's yellow, you know, oh, snap, they about to cut it off. And got the big letters on it. He got, I'm sensing in my spirit, Lord, he is saying, and you got to do the math. Okay, the power bill is $10,000. And I'm sensing in my spirit, and look, he going like this. Any one of you that's out here right now, I hope you catch this. And when you see him doing this, what he doing? He counting, he dividing it up. He dividing the bill up. That's what he doing. You think he pointing because he got a divine anointing on his finger and is the finger going to land on me? He landing on all of y'all. He doing the math. He like, rent is this month, is this long. The power bill is this long. He doing the math. He said, one of y'all out here, you're going to catch the spirit. I need 10 of y'all to give $1,000. I need 15 of y'all to do this. And there's a special blessing that's going to come your way. What? I'm going to get kicked out of my house? That's the blessing. I'm trying to pay this house, God's house. Think about this. God's house he got rent. Think about this. This is the house of God. But God has to pay rent to Bank of America. Have you ever thought of that? They call the church the house of God, but it has a mortgage. When we read through the Bible, did the temple have a mortgage? How about the tent of meeting? Did it have a mortgage? But we've been so brainwashed. We say this omnipotent God, this all-powerful God This is his house, but we got to pay them. We got to make sure we make him rent, because if we don't pay the rent, the other man going to kick us out. Make that make sense. I know some of y'all slow, and it's okay. You coming out of it. I get it. I'm not making fun of you, but think about what we've been telling ourselves on this. You're going to call it the house of God, but if you don't make payment, the other man can overrule God and say, no, y'all niggas get out of here. We talking about, well, we the light of the world. The power company said, well, if you don't pay by the 30th, ain't going to be no lights up in here. Talking about, don't let Satan blow it out. I'm going to let it shine. And they're like, we blew it out. Talking about, don't let Satan blow it out. I'm going to let it shine. Well, that's all you going to have, bunch of candles up in there. Be candlelight service. Anyway, speaking of this, here we got Rickey Smiley. Rickey Smiley, the comedian, who basically out here tried to slam folk for not, straight black men for not voting for Kamala. And he's just a comedian, period. He's a church comedian. He's one of these guys that started out in the church, you know, doing churchy comedy sketches and all this stuff. And then once he got enough, whatever, and then he switched up, you know, and then now saying he out there now, you know. That's Kev on stage did the same thing. They followed the same route. Well, I'm gonna start with the church folks. And did you hear the one about the pastor? And and then how about when the church mother, when she come, they start with all them jokes, and all the church folks like, yeah, he crazy. Then all of a sudden he started dropping F-bombs and all, well, whatever. I don't know if he did F-bombs, because I know I got some loyalists out here. But I have heard him cursing and stuff, and he's saying stuff out there, and he's like, oh, whoa, and people are just like, well, well, it's okay, and I was like, wow, people just, whatever. It's just really something to watch, how this thing gets played over and over again. But anyway, Rickey Smiley, he figured that I need to explain to y'all what Marvin Sapp was really trying to say. It's you are the problem. Let's listen in to the pearls of wisdom from Rickey Smiley.
What's up?
Sorry, y'all. Here's Rickey Smiley going to tell you something.
What's up, y'all? What's up? I'm broadcasting live from Disney. We talked about this morning. Marvin Sapp is coming on the show Monday. And how are you? Oh, thank you so much. I think my followers gonna make jokes about it, but I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. I know y'all gonna crack on my shirt. I want to say this, and just tell you why this bothered me. I understand everybody have an opinion on tithes and offering and how it was done, but here's the problem with that. One thing I hate lies, and I hate liars. Y'all know damn well that man didn't say nothing about lock.
I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors.
The word lock means don't let in, don't let out. Close means you can go out if you want. The pastor asks you not to go out, and if you choose to go out, you can go out. Or if you snatch the door and the ushers are at the door, you can go in. Okay? Y'all told a damn lie. You love to tear people down by lying on them and without clear context. Nobody from that church or that was in that congregation complained. And every pastor.
I mean, do we need to even go further with that? I mean, the shirt alone is enough for us to not even take anything that comes out of this man's mouth serious. I mean, it literally isn't. I mean, he up here trying to break down the word is, you know, or in this case, he tried to break down the word lock versus close. That's what he's doing right now. And he's talking about y'all the ones. Well, let me give you, speaking of context, let me give you some context, okay? Well, the reason why he's going to the nth degree to defend this person is because of the fact that both of them are frat. They're in the fraternities. What's his name? Marvin Sapp. Marvin Sapp is a Kappa, right? Marvin Sapp is a Kappa. Rickey Smiley, well, guess what he is? Woo, woo, woo. You know, whatever they do, the little hand symbols or whatever they do. He's a Cap. He's an Omega Psi Phi. He a Q dog. So these individuals, they got to protect each other. They're still part of one big family. So he is getting out here and wants to try to sell you and tell you that, well, you know, he didn't say lock. He said close. Yeah, you may want to listen to the whole thing because he kept going back to that. Hey, I said close them doors. Anyway, I just thought that was just hilarious. And it just how, you know, and I'm glad there were enough people in the comments because I saw that on TikTok that was tearing them up on that. It was like, Rickey, you need to sit down. So I'm kind of like, in some way, I do want to hear how the splaining that Marvin Sapp's going to do on his show tomorrow. I really do not I don't listen to any radio, morning radio. I've given that up years ago because it's like brain rot to me. It really is, let alone Rickey Smiley. I just can't. I can't listen to him. But Marvin Sapp's going to be on it tomorrow. So I'm very curious how Marvin Sapp is going to explain this and the amount of scriptures. I tell you, let me, y'all know. You know what scripture he's going to refer to. He's going to refer to probably David and his mighty men, because he's going to say something like, you know, how David's mighty men, you know, stood by him when everybody else didn't understand his mission. You know, it's just, you know, it's wow. But anyway, either way, like someone just said, intimidation is intimidation, whatever word you use. You're going to tell people close the door. I used to be, seriously, when they would do stuff like that, I may have been deep in that world, but I wasn't that deep. I never was like, well, honey, you know, I know we got rent next month, this month coming. And do you think that we should do something? I just feel this. I never felt that. I would be looking right at them. I'll be looking at, and they look my way. I'll be, look, I'll be like this. Looking the other way. Nope. All right. Nope. You ain't getting a cent out of me. I'm sorry. What was been given has been given. So you make that work. Okay. Make that work. Get with Jesus and figure out how he did the 5 loaves and 2 fish and turn them coins into a rent payment. How about that? You figure that out. Once y'all figure that out, then we good. Okay. They still ain't figured that out. People are something, ain't we? Something, ain't we something? How many of us have bought into that? Anyway, one more story, but this one's very important. Very important. This is the current head of NPR, National Public Radio. Her name is Catherine Meyer. You know, again, last name is a dead giveaway. I want you to listen to, she's giving this talk and she's being very confident, but I want you to listen to what she's saying as far as like how they view the truth, how they view truth here. Hold on a second, man. What's going on here? Here we go. Miss Big Up. Well, I'm glad I'm making you laugh out in the UK. And I know I'm wrapping it up. This is the last one, I promise you. But here we go. I want you to listen to what she has to say. And it's really something. These people are very confident. They just tell you stuff. Anyway, listen.
But one of the most significant differences, critical for moving from polarization to productivity, is that the Wikipedians who write these articles aren't actually focused on finding the truth. They're working for something that's a little bit more attainable, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years there, I actually believe that they're onto something. That for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
Let's play that last part again. I want to make sure you heard what she said.
Seeking to convince others of the truth isn't necessarily the best place to start. In fact, I think our reverence for the truth might have become a bit of a distraction that is preventing us from finding consensus and getting important things done.
So truth doesn't even matter to these people. Do you see what I'm saying? This is the head of NPR, the current head of NPR. This is what she's saying. Truth doesn't matter. It's consensus. Well, gee, where did we hear that from? That was, oh yeah, a few years ago. Remember, it was the doctors. There's a consensus, and the consensus overrode any and all like real truth about what was happening. You remember that? This is how these people are thinking. It's not about truth. It's not about truth. It's about consensus. That's what she's saying. Well, there's a lot of people, even within religion, that think the same way. It's about consensus. If the majority of us believe this thing, if we think this thing, then it's true. But it's not about that. Truth is truth. I will go and transition to the next life standing on truth. I can give two craps about consensus. I don't care about consensus. I want truth. And you should want truth too. You understand what I'm saying? And thankfully I'm in good company with many of y'all out there who are like that. And we're going to keep on building on that truth, because that's all we have at the end of the day. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, I kept once again missing my mark as far as like trying to squeeze as much in as possible and in a short amount of time. But I'm trying, y'all. Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. And remember, yes, we have that promo going on over at sombertree.com. Make sure you pick up your free copy of our album. It has 4 tracks that we made just for you on there. 4 tracks that you can check it out, download, put in the comments, tell me which one you like the best, and then we're gonna keep right on doing it. Okay. Thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in. You guys take care, and I'll see you again soon. Take care now.